President Bill Clinton is now home, and after undergoing emergency surgery yesterday, the president's had 2 stents placed in his coronary artery. Amazing. So if the Democrats' health care reform had gone through, would President Clinton have received the stents? Peter Johnson Jr. had the prescription for truth. Peter, let's say he's not the president. The president's always going to get special. I don't care what the system is. But let's say he's just a middle-aged man who needs an emergency operation. Would he have got those stents?
I do think under a lot of protocols he would have gotten those stents, and it's not about him being the president. But under something called comparative effectiveness research, $1.1 billion being spent on that over the next couple of years as a result of the Stimulus Act, $300 million in the next budget. It says we need to create best practices, we need to create a standard of care. And as pointed out in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, there was a study back in 2007 called the Courage Study done in Canada that showed that in some patients, optimal medical therapy was just as good as optimal medical therapy, you know, high blood pressure, cholesterol drugs with stents. And so if the government decides to adopt the Peter Orszag, budget director, architect of health care method, and put in regulations that say there's a gold standard, there's a best practice based on the literature, perhaps hundreds of thousands of people, like the president, and I'm not going to make a determination.
But here's what you're saying, though. You're saying that some cholesterol-reducing drugs or a blood thinner, they might say, just as good as a stent, we'll go with that.
There's one study, and if you look at the Western European countries, and you look at Canada, and you look at the premier who had to leave Canada rather than wait 180 days for a heart procedure, if the new standard is save money, best practices, does President Clinton, or you or I who needs it, get the stent under that new regimen of health care effectiveness?